people who experience and are impacted by police brutality are also victims of imperialism, because police are the domestic representation of U.S. imperialism against Black and brown nations and communities in the U.S. They are occupying, invading forces in Black communities, and the police play a big role. And so there's this ad by the NYPD that I want to show you, Erica, and get your thoughts, because it's pretty similar to the CIA stuff. Let me know what you think.
Be the change. Change a life. Save a life. Live a life of meaning. Join the NYPD.
I'm Deputy Inspector Tania Kinsella.
Hi, my name is Police Officer Diana Familia.
Police Officer Jaja Goburn.
Police Officer John.
I've been on the job for 17 and a half years.
I have been a police officer for roughly a year and a half.
For 4.5 years.
I have 4 years with department.
From a young age, I was told to always do everything possible to give back to your family and community. And being a police officer allows me to do that.
With my previous job, I was helping children, and I found a lot of joy in that. So I decided to join the police department and broaden my horizons.
I was a young girl that grew up in the South Bronx, and I remember seeing the cops helping people, and I wanted to be them. I wanted to help people. I wanted to help the people that look like me, help New York City.
I grew up in a law enforcement family. Most of my family members work at the police department in China.
My favorite thing about being a police officer is making a difference in the city that I was born and raised in.
I think this job let me find the meaning of the life. I can help the people in different ways.
There's so many different paths in this department. I started off as a patrol police officer, and now I'm a forensic sketch artist, chasing my passion.
I would like to study hard and become a supervisor.
One day, I too inspired to be the police commissioner.
I'm very honored to be part of a department that is not only a great organization, but also a great family.
I love the NYPD.
Join the NYPD.
Join the NYPD.
Join the NYPD.
If I can do it, you can do it. Join the NYPD.
Be the change. Join the NYPD.
So another gem from the NYPD. I think this one was even shittier. They probably had a smaller budget than the CIA. It seems like they just pulled them out of their shift. They're like, we need you to film this video right now. You know. But what'd you think, Erica?
Well, the shorty from the South Bronx is lying, because precinct 43rd, the 43rd precinct don't be helping nobody. Right. So shout out to Story Avenue, because she's a liar. But what I'm more interested in is, I just learned that the NYPD has they have an office in Tel Aviv.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And since 2012. Mm-hmm. So that just shows, like, if they could have an office there, we should just already know what the type of dynamics that people are dealing with the NYPD, because they're for sure getting trained by the IDF, and we see what the IDF is doing to Palestinians and have done to Palestinians. But to see that, because it's one thing to talk about the deadly exchange program that allows for that sort of even distribution of training and tactics and things like that between the IDF and local police departments, and quite another for there to be a police department in Tel Aviv. Right. So that was a mess, and I couldn't take any of it seriously. And I was laughing at the guy, because he was like, I grew up, like, my previous job, I was helping kids. It's like, oh yeah, so let me lock them up now, like,
Right.
It's like, what? But
it's crazy too, because like you said, going back to the concept of white people not being marketable anymore for U.S. imperialism, there wasn't a single white person in that video, and that's purposeful. We have to really sit back and be like, why is that? Who are they? And then I think a line that really stood out for me was when she was like, if I could do it, you can do it. Like kind of like trying to appeal to be like, oh, I'm one of you and anybody could do this. And it's really sad to see that. It really breaks my heart to see our black and brown sisters and brothers like joining the police, and even within my own family, to be real with you, that has been the case. And it's just like, it's sad, because it's like you're joining an army that does not give a fuck about you, that does not value your life, that sees you as less than equal, and they're using your body, they're using your identity to win their war. And it's a great point you mentioned about the NYPD and the settler state of Israel, because the NYPD, their stop and frisk policy actually is rooted in the IDF and how they would they would inspect Palestinians going into mosque in Gaza. The stop and frisk policy comes from occupied Palestine. You know, the NYPD has been trained in Israel and Tel Aviv for many years, and even the NYPD branding looks the logo and everything looks very similar to like a lot of the Israeli kind of regalia. And it's just interesting to see the connections, right? Because the same tactics that are being used against Black and brown kids in the Bronx and Queens and all over the US, those same tactics are being used against Palestinians, against people on their own land, in their own communities. And there's that connection between the war abroad, right? The war against Palestinians and the war against Black and brown people at home. And that's why it's so important to make those connections. And that's why I'm really thankful to like the work that you do, the work that Black Alliance for Peace does, and Ujima and other groups, because you guys are connecting those two together in a way that others aren't.